Quan was added to the Pro Bowl ballot.
I did, yeah.
It must make you happy.
For him. For him, absolutely. He's earned it. He's worked his tail off, and he's been healthy. And I think people are starting to recognize how valuable he is in the slot.
Do you think people might not notice him as much because nickel is sort of, I don't know, sort of weird? It's not a traditional cornerback position.
You know, I don't understand the whole system. I still think it's archaic in terms of, you got the nickel plays a majority of the snaps, but you still have a sandbacker and a fullback. But I don't know how the whole thing works, but I do think slot corners should get a little bit more recognition than they do, and pump for him that he's getting that.
Robert, how good of a game did Fred Warner play on Monday night? Was that his best game with the 49ers?
I think so. Personally, just the checks, his communication, a lot of things that people don't see with what he did. I thought he was just on it. He played violent. There was a couple times he had one-on-one opportunities with Carson in the hole, and we talked about last year not giving up leaky yards, and he was able to create some knockbacks. So he had a very good game. And now it goes back to consistency being the truest measure of performance. He's got to go stack it up and do it again.
He was saying at that podium after the game that the loss isn't going to define the team, and just kind of more of the leadership role that you'd want to see out of the linebacker. Just has he infused himself right in that, knowing that Quan's unavailable and kind of filling that void?
I don't think he's changed. I know Quan has such an electric personality, but Fred's always been he's the Mike linebacker. He's in front of the huddle. He's always had that steady presence, and he's been fantastic since the day he walked in as a rookie. So continue to grow, continue to get better, and continue developing his personal mindset. To be honest with you.
What does it do for the defense for you guys to show that and show that he can be successful doing it? What does that, as far as the offense goes, making him accountable or knowing that that's a possibility that he could come on blitzes? What does that do?
The most important thing for us, by them having to account for him, especially using a lineman, is now you've got your 4D linemen in one-on-one situations. Our 4 horses, and if they're in one-on-one situations, you're pretty confident that one of them is going to win. And so they've got to bring in extra people to protect. And now it's, are we blitzing or are we rushing 4, and are we defending with 7 in the back end while you're sending out 3? And so it's just a cat and mouse game. But it does, when you have to account for them, you're freeing up your 4 horses in the one-on-one situations. And so for him to win some of those one-on-ones, to beat the back, and some of the things that played out with the pressures that were run, same thing with K1. We've always stood up here and talked about how they've got, in order for those 4, even though they're pretty darn good, those 4 the whole group of D linemen, in order for them to be maximized, they have to be able to. We have to get offenses to account for the safeties, the nickels, the backers, and when they do, it just frees up. Now you're just creating one-on-ones for those guys, and when you can do that, that group is pretty talented. So it's just a cat and mouse game of making sure that teams play us honest.
It's not the flashiest position, but what kind of season is DJ Jones having? And if you're not going to have him on Sunday, do you have to change things up schematically to defend the run?
DJ's been playing very well. He's explosive. He reminds me of Brandon Mebane back when Mebane was younger. He's just got great balance, great explosion, great foot quickness, and a lot of power. And he's kind of built low to the ground, so he's tough to deal with. But it doesn't change anything. There's Sheldon Day, Julian Taylor, Solomon's been filling in there. So we've got a lot of guys who can play those spots. Eric's been in there, Buck's been in there. So the scheme won't change much, but DJ's still working through it, and he still has a chance. But we'll see how it works out as we get closer.
What was your assessment of? Go ahead.
How do you feel like the defense played Monday night? Obviously not the outcome you wanted, but a couple takeaways, and seemed to contain Wilson more than a lot of teams have.
You know what? It was a good day. I wish we would have been better in those sudden change opportunities. We had 2 of them inside the 20-yard line where we got to hold them to field goals, and we gave up touchdowns. The last drive of the game, keep them away, make it a tie. Don't give them the field goal, but their resolve, the fight, the grit, all the things that we believe in philosophically, it showed up play in and play out. And they kept rising to the challenge and going blow for blow. And at the end of regulation, I think they had 225 yards of offense and one explosive play, and that's one of the most explosive offenses in football. So I was more pumped for the guys and the resolve they showed in the fight, and that all gas, no brake mentality that they represent every day. And for them to do that and have success, I was pumped up for them. But like I told them on Tuesday, it was a good day, but it's not good enough unless you win. So we got to go up, we got to do it again, we got to go win a football game.
Russell Wilson's final scramble, what was the breakdown on that play? Was it a gap integrity thing?
No, we brought a 5-man pressure, and they blocked us up with 7, and it created a lane for Russell to run through that C gap. And the coverage we were playing on the back end caught us a little bit deeper than we wanted, and it gave them an exit lane. It wasn't expecting tight end saying. It was a good call by them.
What did you see from Greenlaw in his first start at Will?
You know what? The game's not too big for him. He did a nice job. He was calm. It's good to have Fred in there because Fred's a calming presence for him. But he was on his job. He was very reliable. He was dependent. Wasn't afraid to. We have other packages in the event. Didn't feel like he was panicking, but felt very comfortable with him throughout the game to keep him in there for the entire game. And I thought he did a really nice job. The game wasn't too big. I don't think he had any busts. A couple of technique things he can clean up, but he was on his job. I was pumped up for him.
Impressive was his interception.
It was pretty impressive. It was, especially the way that it came out and the coverage we were playing from a zone pressure standpoint and it's not just him, but between Fred, Sherm, and the defense in general, and the way that came out and the way they kind of zoned it off, and we were still in position where if he did throw the check down, that was going to be a 2-yard loss. I thought they did a great job executing, and for him to not panic with the ball in the air and just that smooth pick. Only thing for him is to show off his speed and take it home. But I thought he did a great job.
Are you optimistic Witherspoon will be back, and if so, what kind of impact can he have?
No, it's been a while. We're working through the performance staff. We'll see what happens as the week gets closer. He's obviously Spoon was playing at a Pro Bowl level, and knock on wood, Mosley's been doing a great job too. But again, that comes back to the performance staff and how he's working, and we'll see when he gets full clearance.
Are there things you learned about Cliff Kingsbury's offense going against it that you didn't necessarily know previously just by watching it on film?
There's always things. One of the things that I think, I'll hold back on some of that stuff, but there are definitely things you can learn from without telling them what we think we learned anyway. But anytime, you see somebody over and over again, you get a chance, especially we had that short week, and now we get a little bit longer. Not saying that it's going to be perfect the second time around, but you just pick up on things that they like and all that stuff, and you pick up on, you just see things that you could do a lot better, and so hopefully our performance will be a little bit better this week.
You guys game plan against a team in such close proximity. How much do you look at what they had success with and then try to figure out what they could do off of the stuff they had success with?
There's always that. What holes were you showing them when you played? What holes have you been showing in previous opponents? What holes, how have you played things? It doesn't just go, it's not just exclusive to the Thursday night game. It's what did we do against Seattle? What did we do before we played them? What did they do that hurt us that they could come back to? There's a whole ball of things that go into this, and especially with the extra week that the full week that they have, I'm sure there's going to be a few more wrinkles, and we just got to be ready to play good, sound football and figure out what they're doing and make sure that we're on our job.
You've harped a lot on you're getting your guys to maintain the same approach and cancel out all the factors that they can't control. But when you're in a game where you're playing really well, you didn't allow a touchdown, for instance, on a drive that didn't begin with a turnover by the offense, right? So do you have to remind the guys during the game to not get frustrated in situations like that, or are they pretty in tune with that mentality already?
That's where Kyle is unbelievable. The mindset of this team is it is a team-oriented game, and he talks about it all the time. We might have to win 3-0, we might have to win 51-49. It doesn't matter how you win a football game, it's that you win. And the main focus is that if you are focused, and it goes back to the defense and what Coach always talks about, if you're focused on what the offense is doing, then you can't put out maximum output because you're focusing your energy on something you have absolutely zero control over. So our guys have done an excellent job maintaining their own level of focus within themselves on things that they've got control over so they can roll. And, I mean, shoot, offense has displayed it this year, defense has displayed it, special teams. You know, the group in general, they're so focused on being their own personal best that you're going to get their greatest punch, regardless of the situation or how hard it's getting. And I think it shows in the way we've won games, whether it was Pittsburgh, where there was takeaways and we had to step up, whether it was Arizona where defensively we didn't have our best game, in a mudfest in Washington. Like, there's been a million different ways, and to be honest with you, it could have happened again on Monday night in a slugfest. So this team is built the right way. Kyle does a great job with messaging, and I think the players are a reflection on his leadership and how they operate from a day-to-day basis.
You guys brought back in Demontre Moore yesterday, obviously in the wake of Ronald Blair ACL injury. What does Demontre kind of bring to the table, considering just how deep this defensive line is, and how does he kind of fit your scheme?
Demontre, you can never have enough pass rushers, you know, and Demontre did a fantastic job, and if, you know, he was a victim of numbers. I think if he was on any other roster in football, he would have made their team. It was a numbers deal, and if it's a 53-man roster, he was 54, and unfortunately, he doesn't have practice squad eligibility. But he should have been on someone's roster. Selfishly, you know, their loss. You know, in my mind, Demontre will come in, he'll help us out, you lose a lot with Ronnie because of his mental makeup and all the things that he brings, but Demontre displayed a great amount of tenacity, and he has, you know, the man's been through the ringer. You know, he's a third-round draft pick, I believe, and, you know, he's been cut, and he's felt that, and he's been out of the league, so he's got a different why, and so his drive is gonna push him to success. I don't think he's gonna fail personally, so we're pumped to have him.
With this addition, too, you guys, San Francisco is one of a few teams in the NFL to have multiple players from the AAF. What does it kind of show that maybe you guys are looking elsewhere outside of the traditional avenues of like collegiate football to find, you know, guys that, you know, can actually play for this team?
Personally, I think it shows John and Adam and Martin Mayhew and those guys and the diligence that they have to look at through every single avenue that they can, and leaving no stone left unturned. And they're so detailed up there to bring as many players forward as possible. So I just think it's more of a credit to them and their focus and trying to find every single advantage they can to make this team better.
The Seahawks seem to have some success leaving Bosa unblocked and running misdirection and rollouts his direction. Is that something he can improve on with just experience and seeing that kind of stuff?
It would be experience. When
Yeah.
it's
of
odd for
direction,
when a D lineman is unblocked, it's like your tendency is to freeze, and he just with time and experience, he'll definitely get better at all that stuff. All right. Thank you, everybody.